Welcome, dear participants. I welcome in the name of the Department of Chemistry, Sacred College, Tirupattur, to this workshop on organic spectroscopy. I would like to, I like this opportunity to thank the management and our head of the department, Dr. Xavier Rajarathinam, for supporting us to organize such kind of activities in the department. Now, I welcome Dr. Xavier Rajarathinam to say a few words about and inaugurate this workshop. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Napoleon, sir. Dear friends, I'm very much happy to be the part of this workshop. So, as a chemist, we must know more about the organic chemistry, the molecules, to identify the structure of the molecule, the spectral studies. It's a very, very important and modern tools. So, for a basic organic chemist, he must know the frequencies, the characteristic frequencies for the certain functional groups, and also the basics of the spectroscopy. By using this spectroscopy, we can easily identify the structure of any molecules. In the olden days, our great grandfathers, they identified the structure of even the structure of benzene without having this kind of tools. Now we are very much blessed with the modern technology. I have to thank and congratulate Professor Napoleon Raj for taking interest in organizing this kind of workshop. So our chemistry team is always young, energetic, and enthusiastic. They are always finding new pathways. So they are making this lockdown as a golden period to educate our students and also our well-wishers. So in the name of the department and also in the name of the management, I would thank Professor Napoleon Raj and other organizers being the scene and also the participants. So have a wonderful day, have a fruitful seminar. Thank you, sir. Thanks for our invitation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your warm words of welcome. Now let us see the some of the guidelines are for this workshop. How we are going to progress into this workshop. I will share the screen, and we shall. I think you can able to see the screen now. Yes. Right. The workshop, what we are going to see for about 15 days, I think, on alternative days. And this workshop, today we just organized this online meeting to just introduce the workshop to you and to give some instruction about the workshop. All other workshop details or videos will be available in the YouTube, and the link will be shared. And an invitation is sent to all the participants to your mail ID for the Google Classroom. Those who have not joined the Google Classroom, kindly join, and we will have all the lectures, quiz, and assignments there. Let us see the outline of the webinar. We will not take more theory in this because we have already studied the theories in PG, and therefore we will take only less theories and concepts, principles which are related to problem solving. That is structural elucidation alone will be discussed here, and the other detailed theories we request you to study by yourself, and useful links will be provided for your reference. This is how. But we will concentrate more on structural elucidation of the compounds. And similarly, we are not going to have many live sessions. If there is any doubt, we can have 1 or 2 live sessions, because some requested, they are not able to come to the workshop on a particular date or particular time, because every college has started online classes. I received some of the requests, therefore we decided we don't take any live session. Today we just wanted to inaugurate this, that's why we are having a live session today. Otherwise, you will be having a recorded video. The link will be shared both in WhatsApp group and in Google Classroom. You can watch that video from for 2 days. For example, today Monday, if the video is posted today, you can watch at your convenient time till tomorrow. By tomorrow at 2 p.m., you will get a quiz, a link for quiz and assignment. The quiz and the link assignments is available only to the registered participants in Google Classroom. Similarly, on Wednesday, and therefore the lecture videos will be available on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at around 10 a.m. But the quiz and assignments will be available at Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at around 2 p.m. You can take your own time to answer the quizzes and submit your assignments till 8 p.m. There will be a final examination at the end of the course. Maybe that means 15 session, that means it may take 1 month. You can expect the final examination at around the 10th September. It is mandatory to pass in all the examination. Therefore, go through the video. Since you have 2 days, you can go through the video clearly, fully, then answer the quizzes. This is how we will progress. The schedule for the class will be, we will be taking 1 session on elemental analysis and followed by a quiz on another day. Similarly, 1 session for mass spectra and another quiz by the following day. This is how we will progress. 1 session means there will be 1 session, the video will be on 1 day, the quiz will be on the following day. It will take 2 days. 1 session will take 2 days. And therefore, element analysis 1 session, mass spectra 1 session, UV visible spectroscopy 1 session, IR we will take 2 sessions, NMR we will take 2 sessions. If possible, we will take more session on NMR as we go along. Then we will elucidate the structure of compounds. We will practice the structure of compounds for about 7 sessions. We will take more than, we have more than 50 molecules to be discussed. We will discuss there individually, one by one. In the introductory lesson, the theory part, we will take some of the concepts, principles, and theories, and we will practice the individual interpretation of spectra. This is how we will proceed. But in the structural elucidation of compound, we will collectively take all the tools and data from all the tools. We will elucidate the structure using the data available. Right, this is how we are going to proceed. Then quiz and assignment. I would like to give some instruction about quiz and assignment. The questions mostly from the lecture, but there will be few questions out of the lecture to test the basic knowledge about the topic. And then more than one correct or answer is possible for a question. This is very important, because when we give a multiple choice question, there are some people may just click anything like that. That's we have seen such kind of activities. To avoid that, we have introduced in the quiz, you may have few short answer questions, 1 or 2 short answer questions where you have to type the answer. The second part is, if there is a 4 option, if there is a 4 option for a question, there may be 1 correct answer, or maybe 2 correct answer, or 3 correct answer, or maybe all the 4 may be correct answer. That you have to study the question, read the question carefully, and find out which are the answers are correct. If you think there is only 1 correct answer for the question, you click only that answer. Or if you think there are 2 questions or 2 correct answer for this question, click the two questions. This is how, therefore you have to carefully click the options so that this is to enhance your learning, to enhance whether you have seriously undergone the lecture or not. This is the reason why we have kept this kind of, and the Google form, this quiz will be organized in Google form. The Google, if one incorrect answer is clicked, that means that question will be considered as a wrong answer. This is how Google form work. If there is a two answer for the question, you are clicking one answer, but you are not clicking another, then that is considered as a wrong answer. We will, and therefore go through all the questions will be simple within the lecture mostly, and therefore you can easily attend the question. I wanted to give that instruction to you because usually we attend the multiple choice question. One answer will be clicked, we will click and go as fast. To avoid that, I am giving these instructions. Next, let us see the next point. What are the structural features of an organic compound? Because we are going to study the organic compound, we are going to elucidate the structure. We must know what are the features of the structure, what are the details we require to elucidate the structure of the molecule. And therefore, we have to study, we have to know what are the features are present in a molecule. The structural features, a molecule contains what? Elements. And therefore, these are the things we are going to concentrate in this while we progressing in the workshop. A molecule contains elements. Usually in organic, we mostly contain these elements: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, oxygen, and halogens. These are the elements we have usually encounter in organic molecule. And the compound contains a molecular formula, and we have to elucidate the molecular formula of the compounds. How we are going to do all those things, we are going to learn. The molecule contains a carbon chain. How we are going to get information for carbon chain. The molecule may also have, the carbon chain may be aliphatic, or it may be a ring, or alicyclic, aromatic. We need information for all these things in order to elucidate the structure. This is what we are going to discuss. Next, it contains bonds. Some compounds contain single bonds, some contains double bonds, and some have triple bonds, and all those things. We need also information for that. And compounds contain functional groups. Different types of functional groups are aldehydes, alcohols, ketones, amides, amines, and how we are going to identify those. And molecular structure means it also contains stereochemistry. The stereochemistry is another important point in elucidating the structure of the molecule. And therefore, which tool is going to give information about the stereochemistry. And there are interactions like hydrogen bond, van der Waals forces, London forces, all those things. These interactions also lead to folding of molecules in case of protein and other biological molecule. There are many interactions. We also need this kind of information in order to deduce the structure for the molecule. These are some of the basic information we need to deduce the structure for a molecule. And therefore, we are going to learn all these things one by one. How we are going to get the elements, and how we are going to get molecular formula, and all these informations, right? Then, in order to say, but though we have several techniques, I would say no technique gives you the structure. No technique will directly give this is the structure. It is not a software, or it is not something else. It is you that are going to deduce the structure. All the spectroscopy, all the techniques is only going to give you a data. And it is the spectroscopic scientist, that is hereafter I will mean you. After learning this, you are going to interpret the data and get useful information about the molecule, then collectively join all the information to deduce the structure based on the information that you deduce. And therefore, the spectra will not give you any structure. It gives you only a data or a spectra, an image. You'll get either image or you may get a data. And it is the scientist, that is you, that is going to interpret all the data into useful information, and using that information you are going to deduce the structure for the molecule. This is how we are going to, this is an important part in this workshop. That's why we would like to make you as interpreter of spectra, not only interpreter of the spectra, and deduce structure for molecule. This is our aim. We have several instruments to record, but there are people, I find in my experience, students have they record several spectra, but they are unable to identify the structure that we have found. That's why I thought I would give this, how to interpret each spectra and how structure can be deduced from the data. This is what we are going to see. This is about all about this workshop, right? As I said earlier, we need several information. Which technique gives which information? That's what I'm going to give. Right, we can see we need elements. What are the elements present? Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, oxygen. Nowadays, in earlier days, we had, they have manually or chemically estimated using titration or deduction methods. There are several methods available. But nowadays, there are analyzers. If you give me a few grams of substances, they will analyze and give what are the percentage composition of each element present in the molecule. Especially in organic, only the CH analyzers are there, CHN analyzer, CHNS analyzer. There are different kind of analyzers are there. You can, these analyzer will give you the percentage composition of each element present in the molecule. For inorganic, though we are concentrating on organic, for inorganic there are several other methods: atomic absorption, atomic emission, X-ray fluorescence, plasma spectroscopy. There are several methods to estimate the other elements present in the molecule. We are concentrating on organic molecule. Therefore, these CHNS analyzers are a very good tool to get the percentage composition of each molecule. The instrument will give you the percentage composition that we have to work it out to calculate the molecular formula. Molecular formula calculation, we have to calculate based on the information that we get from the analyzers, analyzers, and from the data you get from mass spectra. And then the carbon chain, you can get it from NMR. The chain, what is the length of the carbon chain, to how many carbons are present. There are two NMRs, proton and C13 NMR. As far as organic molecule is concerned, you can get information from that. For ring aromatic, again NMR gives information whether the compound is aromatic or aliphatic. NMR gives the information. The bonds, we need a degree of unsaturation. Again, there is a calculation for calculating. There is a calculation for getting the number of unsaturation in the molecule. But an NMR also gives some information through chemical shift values, whether there is a presence of unsaturation or not. And we also have functional groups. The functional group information we can get from UV and IR. UV and IR gives information about the functional group. And the stereochemistry aspects, we can get it from NMR. And the other interactions, hydrogen bond, van der Waals, both one-dimensional NMR, proton NMR, IR, and 2D NMRs for hydrogen bond or other van der Waals forces. We can get it from the interaction between atoms in the molecules. So you can get it from two-dimensional NMR. There are several two-dimensional techniques that are available in NMR that we can, all the spatial arrangement of atoms, and I think I'm not referring that stereochemistry here, I'm referring to spatial interaction in case of protein folding, how protein folds, which atom comes closer to another atom. All this information you can get from two-dimensional NMR. And therefore, if you see the technique here, NMR plays a vital role. NMR gives many information, and therefore we will discuss about NMR in detail in the course, because it is right. This is what I think the time only 10 minutes. I will try to give whatever I possible in that time. Right, in element analysis, this is what about the course. From here it starts. And the video will be available in the, you can watch it. Otherwise, if this session ends, I will post a video into the YouTube, and I will share the link in both Google Classroom and WhatsApp group. You just go through that. Right. Element analysis. In element analysis, there are two kinds of things. You have to detect the presence of elements, then you have to estimate how much percentage of that element is present in the molecule. For detection, it is a simple method that we are already doing. And I think we no need to detect carbon and hydrogen, because every organic compound contains carbon and hydrogen. Without carbon and hydrogen, there is no organic compound, and therefore it is not necessary to detect the presence of carbon and hydrogen in a molecule. For other elements, you have to detect. There is a Lessons test we do in organic practicals, both in UG and PG. That test is enough for the detection whether whether the compound contains nitrogen, sulfur, or halogens. That test is enough. And for estimation, we have different methods. For carbon and hydrogen, there is a method called the Liebig's method. I have already introduced the CHNS analyzer. You can get it from there. But in earlier days, people have used these methods to estimate chemically in the laboratory. That method is called as a Liebig's method for the estimation of carbon and hydrogen. And for nitrogen, there is two methods called. One is called as Dumas method. Another one is called as Geldahl's methods. By these two methods, nitrogen is estimated. And for sulfur and halogen, the method which is called as Carius method, which is used. And we will go through this method in short time. We are not going to discuss all these theories in detail, but I will give a glimpse of these methods. Right. Carbon and hydrogen is estimated by Liebig's method, in which the calculated amount of the substance are burnt, that is combusted. Therefore it is called combustion analysis. Combusted, where the carbon is converted into carbon dioxide, whereas the hydrogen is converted into water. It is burnt in free flow of oxygen. So that when the converted water is absorbed in anhydrous calcium chloride in this tube, second tube, and in the third tube there is a KOH solution which absorbs the carbon dioxide. These two tubes are weighed previously and after the experiment. The difference in weight will give you the amount of water absorbed and the amount of carbon dioxide absorbed. And from that values, we can stoichiometrically calculate how much hydrogen is present and how much carbon is present. And we can calculate the percentage from there. This method is called as a Liebig's method. You can go through that Liebig's method in detail by yourself. Then the nitrogen estimated by a Dumas method. In this is also combustion analysis. The compound is burnt in excess of oxygen in calcium oxide, in terms of where the nitrogen is converted or reduced into nitrogen gas. The nitrogen gas is collected over this KOH solution, where the excess of carbon dioxide will be absorbed by the KOH. Over the KOH solution, we will collect the nitrogen gas. And this volume of nitrogen gas is measured an instrument called as nitrometer. From the volume collected at STP, there is a calculation to calculate the percentage of nitrogen present in the organic compound. In the volume of nitrogen collected at STP and mass of the organic compound, comparing these two, you will, using this formula, you can collect the percentage of nitrogen. Then another method is called as Geldahl's method. In this method, there is a specialized flask called as Geldahl's flask, and the nitrogen is converted into ammonia. The ammonia, there are processes are going, there are detailed process, but in short of time, I would like to go fast. Right, the Geldahl's method, there is a flask called Geldahl's flask in which it is digested with the sulfuric acid, where the nitrogen is converted into ammonium sulfate, and reaction with sodium hydroxide, it will produce ammonia. This ammonia will be collected in a known volume, a standard sulfuric acid, where the ammonia is converted into ammonium sulfate. The remaining sulfuric acid is titrated using a volumetric method, where, and it can be calculated, the amount of ammonia can be back calculated, right? This is from that amount of ammonia, nitrogen is calculated. That is a method. For sulfur, we have a method called Carrier's method, in which the organic compound is treated with the sulfur, the silver nitrate and the nitric acid. The Carrier's tube, this is called a specialized tube called Carrier's tube. In the Carrier's tube, it is heated to high temperature in the furnace, where the sulfur is converted into sulfuric acid, and this sulfuric acid, after this reaction, barium chloride is introduced, where the sulfuric acid, the sulfur is converted into sulfuric acid. That sulfuric acid, in and reacting with barium chloride, it will produce barium sulfate. The barium sulfate precipitate is estimated gravimetrically. And from that precipitate, we can calculate the percentage of sulfur using this formula. Halogens are also estimated in a similar way using the Carrier's method, in which the halogens are converted into silver halides. The silver halides are they itself an insoluble precipitate. They will be also estimated, are weighed, dried and weighed, estimated using gravimetric method, by which you can get from the weight of the precipitate, you can calculate the percentage of the halogen present in the molecule. This is how all are estimated. But nowadays we use CH analyzer. This is a sample where this carbon percentage is given here, and straight away you will get all this percentage. The percentage composition is given by the analyzers. I think only 2 more minutes. Other things, I think I will post as a video in YouTube and the Google Classroom. I request all of you to join the Google Classroom for the assessment. I think with this, I would like to finish. There are a few more, but the time is up for this session. And therefore, with this, I finish. I request all the participants to, if anybody, I sent a mail to each one of you for joining the Google Classroom. If anybody is not getting the link, kindly send a message. I will send a link to you. I think thank you very much for your listening. Thank you very much for the participation. Happy learning. That's all I would like to. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presence, sir.